Look at that. G'day so-and-sos and welcome to my sewing room. My name is Kathy and this is Lucifer, and in today's video, what are you trying to do, sis? In today's video, we are going to be making these cute little coffee sleeves for your coffee cup. They are reversible, so you can pop it off, flip it out, Lucy, flip it out and have it the other way. Now, if you're someone that does markets, these would be great for markets, especially if you set up anywhere near a coffee van, and they're just a great little fun scrap buster project. Okay, I'm ready to get going, so let's get cracking. Okay, let's have a look at how we actually make our pattern. So the pattern that I make today, I'll have it in a link in the description box. So if you just want to go there and print it off and use that one, then that's fine. You could use that one, you could try and enlarge it or whatever, but it's pretty easy to do. And if you learn how to do it, then you can make them to fit any size cup that you want. So what I'm going to do is take my coffee cup. If you're ever in Wagga, Brumbies at South City make the best coffee ever. And I'm going to measure down around 3/4 of an inch from the top and bottom, because that is the distance that I want the width that I want my coffee holder sleeve to be. Now, what I'm going to do is then cut around the top and the bottom. So along that line, but I'm going to make sure that I maintain the same distance all the way around the rim and all the way around the bottom. If you go wonky, your sleeve will be wonky. And then we'll add the seam allowance in a moment, so don't worry about that. So this is what I ended up with when I did that. So I've got that nice curve at the top and bottom, and my sides come in. If you do it just with a piece of paper, it's really hard to get these curves right. So that's how I did it. And then I laid this bit on a piece of cardboard, which gave me that bit. So now I need to add the seam allowance. So what I'm going to do is add 1/4 of an inch at the top and bottom and 3/8 of an inch at the sides. And I'm going to use these little seam allowance rolly circle things that I got off Temu to do that. But if you're doing your own and you don't have any of these guys, then just use a ruler. Okay. So I'm going to use the 3/8 of an inch one for down the sides. So I want a wider seam allowance there, and then down this side, there, and then my smaller 1/4 of an inch one round about along the top and bottom. And I'll tidy this up, and like I said, I'll have it in a link in the description box for you, and it will fit sort of a medium cup of coffee. Well, that is in Australia anyway. I know you Americans like your coffee big. So then I've ended up with a fairly big pattern. So what I'm using for today is just cotton woven, and I'm using a extra lofty fusible fleece. But now that I have my pattern ready, I will cut out my fabric and be back in a minute. So I have my pattern pieces, and I'm just using a cotton woven for the outside, and my fabric is from Spotlight. And then for the lining, I'm using an extra lofty fusible fleece. So that's going to make our cup holder nice and soft to hold and also provide some insulation. So what I'm going to do is fold my piece in half, right sides together. So the right side is the pretty side, the fabric side, and whack some clips along that short edge, and do that on both of them. Fold it in half and just whack some clips along that edge. And then we'll take it over to the sewing machine and sew down these clipped sides. And then we'll actually do the next step while we're over there, but I will show you. Let's go do that. Okay, so I want to be a good 3/8 of an inch, like I said, and I've put a seam guide there just to help me stay consistent. And my stitch length is around 3.5 because I'm doing a seam, and I'm just going to make sure that I backstitch at the beginning and end. That's one piece, and next piece. Now while I'm here, we'll do the next step. So what we're going to do is actually first of all, we'll open it up, and I'm just going to finger press that seam open. If you want to take it back and iron it, then that would be cool too. Okay, now I'm going to take one of my pieces and turn it right side out, so pretty side out. And then I'm going to pop it into the other piece. So I'm going to make sure that my long side is at the same side as my other long side, so they're going in the correct way. And that my seam on this piece is on the other side to the seam on this piece. So pop that in like that. And just wiggle it around until you feel like they're sitting nicely. Those seams are on other sides. And you've got the top and bottom lined up. And then I'm just going to whack some more clips around that top. And we are just going to sew the top piece, the top end. We're not going to sew the bottom end. So on this top one, I'm going to open up that seam and then lay it flat. So I know that I'm sewing it flat. And now I want to be about 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'll get rid of that guide. Pop my needle in, check my seam allowance, and just work my way all the way around the top. And when I get to this seam, I'll open it up, lay it flat, and carefully work my way over it as well, keeping my fingers out of the way. And back to the other seam, make sure that other side is laying nice and flat underneath. And back stitch. Okay, let's go back to the table. So there it is with the top edge just sewn down. Now what I'm going to do is just flip it open like that, so it's right sides out, and give this a good hit with the iron. And then what I'm going to do is fold down these raw edges on both ends about 1/4 inch on the inside, just to get them sitting where I want them to. So take your time doing this, just make it nice and neat. Flip those edges in and just give them a hit with the iron. Don't worry too much if it doesn't stay in place. We're just doing that to help us a little bit when we do turn it out and then clip it all up. Okay, there we go. Now what I'm going to do is take one of my sides and poke it down inside the other piece, just like that, and give it a bit of a wiggle around with my fingers, get it sitting nice and neat. And then along this bottom raw edge, I'm just going to tuck that side in and then that side in about 1/4 inch, where we tried to iron it down to sit, and then just start whacking some clips along there. And if you're not sure what I mean, I'll show you in just a sec when I've got some of it done.
Right there on top of the moon, we could sit and do nothing. I wish we were bold to just fly away. I don't wanna care, just be here and I'm good alone. I'll be okay, miss you like an old friend. Too scared now, thinking I should call up. I'm not.
Cool. Okay. So see how I've just tucked those raw edges on the inside so that they are all tucked in. They're about 1/4 of an inch in. So now we can take that back over to the sewing machine and we can top stitch along all that bottom clipped edge, and then we'll top stitch along this top edge too, just so that top bit sits nice and flat. Okay, so I'm top stitching, so I've lengthened my stitch length to around 3.5, and I want to be around 1/8 of an inch, so nice and close to that edge, making sure that I'm catching both pieces of fabric. And I'm going to just work my way around the bottom, and then when that's nice and secure, I will do around the top, keeping my fingers away from the needle.
Right there on top of the moon, we could sit and do nothing. I wish we were bold to just fly away. I don't wanna care, just be here and I'm good alone. I'll be okay, miss you like an old friend. Too scared now, thinking I should call up.
And a little back stitch at the end. Cool. So there we go, all finished. What do you think, Liz? Did we do a good job? There's no milk in there, sorry sis. So super quick, easy project, great for markets, lots of fun. If you had fun along with me today, then make sure you hit that subscribe button so I see you next time. And until then, remember, it's only fabric. We can always buy more. Okay, see you peeps. Bugger.